Have you gotten your Taylor Swift tickets yet?
I am not much of a live music person, and I think even if I were, I don't know that she would be in my top 10. But yeah, I've heard the stories of trying to get them has been fruitless for some and painful for others.
So it's been a bit of a cluster. So the whole thing is that basically Taylor Swift broke the internet, or at least the Ticketmaster section of the internet. She's going on tour for the first time in several years. There's massive demand, and AEG is a promoter of the Eras tour, but they turned to Ticketmaster for help with this, thinking, okay, they are a massive platform. They can handle this. And that is not the case, because like many, many millions of people tried to get tickets. And there was a whole thing where Ticketmaster was like, okay, we're going to give you a code to like X number of people to sign in early, but then like millions of others had to be on the waiting list. And it was a cluster. Like, I guess a lot of people did indeed get tickets, but many, many, many more did not. And coincidentally, the Department of Justice is now investigating Ticketmaster. They were anyway, but they're investigating whether like Live Nation has a monopoly on, live ticket buying possibilities. So
yeah, I mean, there have been so many articles of late. John Oliver did a whole big thing where like, you can try and get tickets to something, and tickets are already insanely priced. Like you're going to pay $250 if you want to sit in the rafters, and then it just thousands and thousands if you want to be on the floor. But then on top of that, Ticketmaster adds all of these fees and expenses and where you're basically paying like double or triple what the base ticket fee was. And yeah, you have no recourse. No one else is handling these tickets, so they can just charge you whatever they want. And so, yeah, I'm glad that we're finally taking this seriously in terms of like, this is a monopoly. There is price gouging. Mm-hmm. And then add to that this notion of like, when I was young, you had to go line up at your record store and get tickets, the morning they went on sale. But what genius thought it would be a good idea to sell Taylor Swift's entire tour at the same time on the internet, rather than breaking it up like city by city, so that at least like the entire deluge of humanity isn't like straining this website. And this website, of course, apparently also like being subject to bots that snap up all the tickets and then resell them to you for some insane thing. So the whole system is broken.
And there's all kinds of finger pointing going on, because Taylor Swift today put out a statement saying, we asked multiple times and we were promised that everybody involved had the capacity to handle this. And that was not the case. And then the guy who is in charge of Live Nation went on TV and basically blamed her, saying that because she hadn't toured for like 3 or 4 years, there was all this pent up demand.
So it's her fault for not having toured.
Her fault.
That's great.
For having some me time.
Yeah, Pearl Jam was right in the 90s when they were trying to divorce themselves from Ticketmaster. They're the worst.
No, they're not the worst. You know who's the worst? Elon Musk is the worst.
Oh, well, okay. We have a new worst, everyone.
Okay, so Twitter remains just a flaming garbage heap. And, the latest things are that the people who are in charge of badges like got locked out. Like everyone got locked out, and so they couldn't physically like get themselves back in.
They fired the guy who apparently was in charge of that. Yes. And then it was like, can you come back? Because we canceled all the badges and now we're all locked out of the building. Oops.
Someone projected onto the outside of Twitter headquarters last night in San Francisco, like this horrible, like long diatribe of insults against him. It was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess no one can do anything until next week at some point. And yeah, and then he sent out an email to everybody on staff saying like, if you want to stay for Twitter 2.0, it's going to be hardcore and long hours. And so if this is what you want, get used to it. I'd be like, screw that.
Yeah. I one of my favorite observations about all this on Twitter was the idea that like, this goes to show you like the workers created this website, and this genius billionaire waltzed in and has like trashed the whole thing. And now that he's firing everybody, it's like, oh no, wait, how do we maintain all of this when all of the people who built it are gone? So yeah, billionaires are useless and worthless. We shouldn't live in a world where somebody can toss out $44 billion on a whim and still be like one of the richest men on earth. It's all terrible.
Right. And then he says they're going to delay the rollout of the new checkmark system to ensure that it is rock solid. Because when they did the whole thing where you could apply for your checkmark for $8, like all these parody accounts sprung up.
Yeah, and Eli Lilly and Lockheed stocks tanked.
I was going to say, notably Eli Lilly, whoever did the fake account, was like, insulin's free now, and like, it's having actual real-world consequences. So, it's all a disaster. But I am still on Twitter. I saw that a lot of folks last night were like, farewell, Twitter. If this is my last tweet, here's who I had a secret crush on, or here's how much money I embezzled, or whatever secret they wanted to spill. But then they're all still here the next morning.
Yeah, I'm holding on, but I'm eyeing the life rafts just in case. I started a Post account today just in case.
Okay, Post is a different thing.
It's a new one, and they're still working out some of the bugs and stuff, but it seems to be striving for a similar kind of interface.
All right, well, let me know how that goes.
I'll do.
Other organizations that have been a disaster: the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. So Brendan Fraser says that, if he's nominated for a Golden Globe, or even if he's asked to just come and present, he's not going to go to the Golden Globes because, several years ago, he was groped, he says, by the guy who was then in charge, who is no longer.
Correct.
But the non-apology that he got, I'm sorry if you were offended, it was just a little playing around, wasn't sufficient and shouldn't be. And so he has said that he will not go.
And that's great. And I admire people who can take this stand. I would love it that women in the industry felt the same, that they would get the same support from fans and the media if they took similar stands against companies or organizations that had done them wrong in one way or another.
The trailer is out for a movie called 80 for Brady. Have you seen this or heard of it?
I've heard about it, and I saw that Tom Brady is one of the producers of this movie, and I just thought,
and he's in it. Yeah.
I do love the 4 actresses involved.
The Super Bowl is no place for 4 old women.
This could be Tom's last one. He's almost 40. That's like 80 in people years.
Apparently, this is based on a true story about 4 women who fulfilled their lifelong dream of going to the Super Bowl in 2017 and seeing Tom Brady play. This is back when he was still with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. And it's Rita Moreno, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Sally Field. And this trailer is just surreal. It doesn't feel like it's real life. It feels like some sort of Saturday Night Live skit, gone horribly wrong, that is now a part of the world. It's very strange. And they flirt and dance their way into getting tickets. And it looks kind of like Space Cowboys, like Las Vegas, like one of those movies where a bunch of them all get together and get their groove back.
Right. Okay. Well, look, we have to do something with our lives until Book Club 2 opens. So,
Ellen Pompeo is leaving Grey's Anatomy after 19 seasons, which I'm confused about. How is it still Grey's Anatomy if there's no Meredith Grey? Answer me this.
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been kind of an ensemble show, though, right? I've never seen an episode, but I know that
I have once. Yeah.
I know it's not just her. There's always been all these other characters coming in and out of it. So, I don't know. Maybe they bring in a new person whose last name is Gray. I don't know.
My cousin Oliver. There's no longer going to be boozing on New Year's Eve on CNN. If you have stayed home on New Year's Eve, like we do now because we're not fun anymore, we flip between all the various channels that have all of their anchors out there in Times Square. And, the shtick for a long time was it was Anderson Cooper and Kathy Griffin.
Yes.
And she would say inappropriate things and make him giggle, and they would do shots. But now that it's Andy Cohen with Anderson Cooper, they get wasted. They get super drunk. And even more so, Don Lemon will go to New Orleans or wherever and just get shit-faced. And then the problem is, and this has always bothered me, it totally erodes your credibility if you then have to show up and deal with really, really serious news when just a couple weeks ago you were, getting your ears pierced on live TV or dancing with a stripper or something.
Yeah, it's a weird flex for journalists. I stopped watching the CNN New Year's after they did Kathy Griffin dirt. I thought that was very shitty how they treated her, and that they
Yeah.
turned on her in the midst of that whole nonsense fake scandal about the art piece. And Anderson Cooper like owes her an apology, and should frankly kiss her ass on live television. And Andy Cohen, don't even get me started. So I don't watch, but yeah, it does seem to me. I mean, Andy Cohen has no reputation to speak of in this regard, but yes, Anderson Cooper is supposed to be a journalist, and getting schnockered on New Year's Eve on live television is maybe not the look.
But you're going to be on television soon, Alonso. Tell us
Speaking
about
of
that.
CNN, yes, I'm going to be on a special called "'Tis the Season" that is premiering on Sunday, the 27th, which is the day. The 27th, 26th. I don't have it in front of me. The Sunday after Thanksgiving. And it is, it's a spin-off of that series that we were both on a couple years ago called The Movies. And, sorry, the 27th. Yes. And it's 2 hours, and it's a look at our favorite holiday movies. And they talk to a bunch of cool, famous people, and then also me.
You are the guy to ask. You should have been their first phone call.
I would have been upset if they hadn't called. I'll admit that. So yeah, I haven't seen this thing yet. I have no idea how much or any that I'm in it, but I'm in the press release, so my hopes are high.
Tune in for more Alonso goodness.